one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're starting off with our special meeting since our town board meeting got snowed out last week, and then we rescheduled for the next day. Work session also got snowed out, so we'll do our special meeting first. The public hearings that we had scheduled for the snowed out meeting had to all be rescheduled, so you will see some of them rescheduled here. And Shelby, you've got correspondence?
Yes, I have a few things to read. The first I circulated to everyone already. It was a memo just from me, and I sent it to you all and to Ken saying that the permissive referendum for the walking floor trailer passed its amount of time that was needed, so he can go move forward with that purchase from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund. The other letter we received was from Dr. Julia Weisenberg to WQI, resigning from that committee. So that was circulated to everyone also. And then I have a letter or an email from Helene Starzy that she wanted me to read into the record related to 27 West Neck Road. I'll read that. She said, the occupant of the property is a former four-term supervisor of the town. He clearly has enjoyed special treatment in the manner in which this application has wound it through the initial process. The original applicant was an LLC, which New York State records show was discontinued and did not exist. Somehow the name morphed from the original applicant and was changed for the first time on the ZBA agenda last year. There was a zoning issue that was referred to the ZBA with no statutory authority. The ZBA initially adjourned the matter, and immediately after adjourning the matter, the members of the board discussed in the hearing room going out for a drink. My counsel reminded them that they were prohibited from discussing the matter, as they would then be violating the open meetings law. At the next ZBA meeting, they refused to allow my attorney to speak in violation of my rights. When this issue was brought before the town board, the deputy supervisor claimed that it was a ZBA work session. The ZBA calendar is controlled by the wife of the main employee of the then applicant. My attorney was prohibited from speaking before the town board regarding newly discovered issues such as whether or not the adjacent owner's properties run to the midline of West Neck Road, the interpretation as to whether or not the zoning line runs to the center, which would explain the existence of the Residence C property which abuts my property line. Then we have the issue of whether or not the septic system is acceptable and was ever approved by the Suffolk County Health Department, an issue that the town board quite apparently does not want answered. The zoning code only allows a one-family dwelling on a Residence B parcel to permit a mixed use. This dwelling is clearly a two-family dwelling. The only evidence of its use prior to 1987 are self-serving statements of the property owner with no independent sworn evidence. There are no sworn disclosure of interest statements. At least one related party of a person employed by the applicant is an official of a board which wrongfully was brought into the supposed process by the town administration. My property, its value, and my quiet and peaceful enjoyment thereof have been adversely affected, and the rules are constantly being changed. The rules, regulations, and proverbial goalposts have been repeatedly moved to my detriment. My constitutional rights of due process and freedom of speech before the ZBA have been violated to my financial detriment. My property rights have been taken by a cooked process. Even ZBA members have been reappointed without mandatory training as required by the New York State town law. As has been repeatedly stated, this is about the who and not the what. I can assure you with 100% certainty that this is not over. I will follow the process to protect my rights, even if the town has, does, and will not. This is a repeat of last year's scenario. Sincerely, Helene Starzy. Then I have another email from David Lopez that he wanted read into the record related to the 2 School Street acquisition. Dear members of the town board, as a general matter, I'm supportive of the town board spending taxpayer money on any project that creates good value for the town's residents. I'm also supportive of the town board acting boldly. Sorry, I guess it's me, so I'll just.
You have to turn off your speaker. It
is off though on the computer. That's why it's weird. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll just leave Zoom. Sorry. That is the board's job, to represent the voters' interests, thus avoiding the need for each resident to be aware of and fully educated on every matter facing our community. However, the privilege of delegated authority comes with an obligation to act thoughtfully. In the case of 2 School Street, there's no evidence that the purchase of the property creates good value, or that time was short, or that the board has acted thoughtfully. 2 School Street might be a great idea, but the public can't judge the idea because the board has not meaningfully answered various reasonable and predictable questions. In turn, the lack of answers is doing affirmative damage to the public's trust, creating the impression that the board acted without a plan, in haste, and with insufficient diligence. I urge the board to correct this situation by taking a step back and publicly articulating detailed answers to 3 questions. 1, what is the plan? In answering this question, the board should address how the property will be used, whether other properties will be acquired for similar uses, why the proposed use is best served through acquiring the specific piece of property, why borrowing makes more sense than using community housing funds, and why this project is so compelling as to warrant a deviation from the town's budget. 2, what due diligence work was and will be done to ensure taxpayers are getting a reasonable deal? In answering this question, the board should address the methodology that led the board to choose its bid price, including any supporting analysis of the value of the property plus anticipated renovation costs, and any protections for taxpayers if it becomes obvious the property is worth less than the bid price or the renovations will be more than expected. 3, why has there been no meaningful dialogue with residents about this project? In answering this question, the board should not reiterate its position that it gave adequate notice under the law. Instead, the board should explain why it did not think it a best practice to engage in dialogue with the public about this unique, unbudgeted project, either prior to authorizing it or during this interim period prior to closing. The board has an opportunity to rebuild public trust by quickly demonstrating that it has a thoughtful plan. With thanks for your service, David Lopez. And lastly, I have another email related to 2 School Street from Mr. Bob Fredericks that he wanted read into the record as well. Dear Town Board, I've been following the articles in the Reporter about the town purchasing the disastrous property at 2 School Street and then proposing a $2 million bond to fix it and use it as a low-income property. Regardless of the source of the funds, special tax money or straight taxpayer money, this is a really foolish idea. What a precedence this would be for the town to spend up to $2 million of our money to purchase one piece of property for low-income housing. My property is in excellent shape. Will you give me $2 million so that you can use it for low-income housing? And who will qualify for that low-income housing, and how will that person be chosen? Will it go to friends of the town board? Will it go to the in-crowd with connections to the town board? But realistically, how many purchases using taxpayer money and/or taxpayer bonds will it take to solve the low-income housing issue on Shelter Island? Will it stop when the town has no more reserves or needs to raise everyone's taxes 10 to 20% a year to pay for this low-income housing? If you really want to know what the people of Shelter Island feel about this issue, put the town budget to a popular vote rather than letting 5 people decide how much in taxes the rest of us have to spend for low-income housing. If memory serves me, the tax fund you are choosing to utilize for such purposes was intended originally when we voted on it for purchasing undeveloped land, not for decrepit, already built property. Town board, get a grip, but remember that we will remember at the next election, and we will elect a fiscally conservative town board that actually asks what their constituents want and vote in the manner that their constituents want them to. Bob Frederick, Shelter Island Heights, New York.
Does anyone have, before we start resolutions, anyone have any questions on resolutions that are not subject to public hearings? If you want to get us started.
All right. Whereas Ingrid and Robert Fagan, 1 Tar Kettle Road, have petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to construct a staircase leading up to a 4x20 fixed catwalk leading to a 4x50 ramp down to a 4x26 kayak launch, and install 2 ladders per the revised plan submitted by Costello Marine, last revised December 3rd, 2025, and SAMP NYSDEC approved January 16th, 2026. Now, therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to Section 53 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held on Monday, April 6, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter prevailing time in the Shelter Island Town Hall, 38 North Ferry Road, Shelter Island, New York, 11964, for all interested persons to be heard in favor or in opposition to the proposed application. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Christopher Kemlar and Daniel Ferreira, 13 Dickerson Drive, have petitioned the town of Shelter Island to amend their existing wetlands permit to allow for the demolition of the existing walls to be rebuilt in the same place as per plans submitted by Jeffrey Butler dated November 17th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 129-7 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held on Monday, April 6, 2026, at 9 a.m. or as soon thereafter prevailing time in the Shelter Island Town Hall, 38 North Ferry Road, Shelter Island, New York, 11964, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the opposed application. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Discussion. Should this be a new wetlands application? It's really an amendment of a current application. Should this be amended before it goes to a hearing? Since there was a stop work order placed for the demolition of the building.
I defer to Thomas. We are saying that they're amending the existing.
Amending, but does that require, doesn't our code say?
Reapply, like they reapplied. They submitted a new application with the plans changed.
Doesn't that require a whole new application?
But that's what they submitted, didn't they? I thought that they submitted a new application.
Also, just one other thing, I think it's April 6th, that's 9 a.m. I think we wanted to say 6 p.m.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, it says 9 a.m., it should be 6 p.m. Yeah.
I'll also say that our environmental analyst had suggested perhaps this was a way that the house could be moved further back from the wetlands boundary.
So she will review the application again. It will go to everyone to be reviewed.
Right.
So I think, in effect, we are treating it as a full-blown wetlands application.
Okay.
Discussion closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Whereas Chapter 581 of the New York State Law of 2025 provides for an amendment of real property tax law, Section 467, to adjust exemption percentages for senior citizens up to 65% based on a sliding scale, and whereas real property tax law, Section 467 1A allows a municipality to amend the exemption percentage for senior citizens by resolution after a public hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that a public hearing will be held on Monday, April 6, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the Shelter Island Town Hall to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposal to increase the senior property tax exemption percentage to up to 65% based on a sliding scale pursuant to real property tax law, Section 467. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Resolved that the town board of the town of Shelter Island hereby directs that a public hearing be held on March 16th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 8 Code of Ethics. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Shelter Island as follows. The local law is adopted pursuant to the authority granted by Municipal Home Rule, Law Section 10, General Powers of Local Governments to adopt and amend local laws. If any section, provision, or part of this local law shall be adjudged invalid or unconstitutional by a court or competent jurisdiction, then such jurisdiction shall not affect the validity of the local law as a whole or any section, provision, or part thereof. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. I'm not going to read the whole,
Yeah, you go to page 18.
yeah,
18 has the summary.
Yeah.
page 18.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Summary of proposed law. The purpose of this local law is to improve current code of ethics within the town code, protect the interest of the town from unethical activity, and providing employees with clear guidance in performing their duties. This law will serve to protect against potential town employees and other officer misconduct and protect the innocent employee and officer from aspersions. So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I just have a quick question. So do I read all of the one for this next one? This is a newbie.
No, you can just, I think you just read the first I would say the two whereas clauses and then the first resolve.
Okay.
We also generally, that includes the numbered
That would be
sections.
the last result, right? That has all the conditions we.
So the first two, sorry, I just want to,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll read the first whereas and then the last resolved within the numbered section. Okay, cool. Whereas the town board approved the resolution for the wetlands permit for Bootsy LLC, 85 Shore Road, SCTM 700-13-1-18 on February 2nd, 2026. And whereas the approved resolution contains an error regarding the correct approved set of plans, which should state in accordance with the site plan prepared by Buttercup Design Group dated December 9th, 2025, and planting and revegetation plan prepared by Buttercup Design Group dated January 9th, 2026. And as a result, Condition 1 of the previously approved resolution is amended, and Condition 2 of the previously approved resolution is removed. Now therefore be it resolved. This is all available on the website. Resolved that the town board hereby approves the issuance of a wetlands permit for the proposed excavation, regrading, and planting within 100 feet of the wetlands at 85 Shore Road in accordance with the site plan prepared by Buttercup Design Group dated December 9th, 2025, and the planting and revegetation plan prepared by Buttercup Design Group dated January 9th, 2026 on the following conditions. In addition to the 25-foot vegetated buffer proposed, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan that provides for an additional 25-foot no-mow zone on the western side of the pond that corresponds approximately to the 17-foot contour line on the above referenced site plan. The proposed vegetative buffer and no-mow zone shall allow for a 4-foot wide cleared access path to allow for access to the pond and Shore Road. Additionally, the applicant shall submit a revised planting plan that depicts the proposed eastern red cedars in place of the proposed Chinese junipers in the northern corner of the property. 2, any well installed on the property shall only have the volume of 1 horsepower or less than 24 GPM to reduce the draw on the sensitive aquifer. 3, any work or disturbance in the storage of construction materials shall be confined to the limit of clearing or ground disturbance shown on the approved plans. 4, the town board and/or its designee reserves the right to require an additional native revegetation and/or other restoration measures in the event that upon final inspection, a finding is made that the goals of establishing a continuous healthy cover of native or natural vegetation within the designated revegetation areas has not been achieved. 5, a final wetland inspection shall be applied for and obtained upon completion of all permitted activities. In the event that the town or its designee determines that the property is not in compliance with all the terms and conditions of this permit, the applicant shall submit additional applications for a final wetlands inspection. 6, 2 copies of a final as-built survey shall be submitted with the required final wetlands inspection. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Courtney O'Sullivan, 74 Peconic Avenue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 700-25-1-6, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a wetlands permit to construct a new second-floor addition of a 1,022 square foot within the existing footprint of the residence, which is located 56.2 feet from the wetlands, and construct a new 241 square foot second-floor roof deck located at 56.2 feet from the wetlands to demolish the existing first floor deck and construct a new 414 square foot deck and pergola located 49.6 feet from the wetlands, to demolish a 30 square foot entry deck and construct a new 57 square foot porch, to demolish a 4 square foot step and replace it with 2 20 square foot steps, to relocate AC units to pad 75 feet from the wetlands, to construct a new section of poured concrete foundation with emergency escape window well within the existing footprint of the residence, to add 3 dry wells for outdoor shower and roof runoff, to install a new low nitrogen IA sanitary system, and to establish a naturally vegetated, non-disturbed, non-fertilization buffer, the town of Shelter Island, Suffolk County, New York. And whereas notice of disapproval was issued to the town building department on May 23rd, 2025, the rest of the whereas clauses are available online and at the clerk's office. I'm going to read the final resolve clause that has our conditions in it. Be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the issuance of a wetlands permit for the proposed demolition, construction, and addition at 74 Peconic Avenue in accordance with the proposed site plan prepared by Matthew Benjamin Sherman dated January 7th, 2026, landscape plan prepared by Christian Clark dated May 1st, 2025, and architectural drawings prepared by Hospital and Brown Architects, PC, dated February 3rd, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, submission of a revised set of architectural drawings that eliminate the second floor roof deck per zoning board of appeals denial. 2, submission of a revised planting plan which provides for a 25-foot vegetative buffer and removes the proposed swimming pool, which the applicant withdrew from the ZBA application. Additionally, the planting plan needs to be revised to eliminate the proposed Rosa rugosa and replace it with beach grass. The vegetated buffer shall allow for the establishment of a 4-foot wide pedestrian path. 3, all fill excavated as a result of this project must be trucked to an off-site location. 4, any well installed on the property shall have a low-flow pump, 5 gallons per minute or less, and have a holding tank installed in the basement to reduce the draw on the sensitive aquifer. I think it just has to say 5 gallons per minute. I don't think or less is allowed by health department regulation. Number 5, leaders and gutters shall be installed directing roof runoff into subsurface dry wells and or other approved drainage structures to minimize stormwater runoff. 6, any work or disturbance and storage of construction materials shall be confined to the limit of clearing or ground disturbance shown on the approved plans. 7, prior to the commencement of any construction activities, a continuous line of trenched-in wire-back silt fence shall be staked as necessary to prevent runoff from the property. The screen shall be maintained, repaired, and replaced as often as necessary to ensure proper function until all disturbed areas are permanently revegetated. Sediments trapped by the screen shall be removed away from the screen to an approved upland location. Before the screen is removed, the wire-back silt fence shall be a minimum of 14-gauge wire with 6-inch mesh spacing. The 36-inch post shall be driven a minimum of 16 inches into the ground and set no more than 10 feet apart. Silt fencing shall be recessed by trenching 6 inches into the ground. Number 8, all areas of soil disturbance resulting from the project shall be revegetated and remulched immediately upon completion of the project within 2 days of final grading or by the expiration date of the wetlands permit, whichever is first. If revegetation is impractical due to the time of year, temporary mulch shall be applied and final revegetation performed as soon as weather conditions favor germination and growth. Number 9, the town board and/or its designee reserves the right to require additional native vegetation and/or other restoration methods in the event that upon final inspection, the finding is made that the goals of establishing a continuous healthy cover of native natural vegetation within the designated revegetated area have not been achieved. And 10, a final wetlands inspection shall be applied for and obtained upon completion of all permitted activities in the event that the town and/or its designee determines that the property is not in compliance with all of the terms and conditions of this permit. The applicant shall submit additional applications for a final wetland inspection. And number 11, 2 copies of a final as-built survey shall be submitted with the required final wetlands inspection. So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Okay.
I did not see, I had asked for no dewatering for this project, so there's excavation in the basement area to make it deeper. Can we put that in now? I didn't notice that when I was going through this. I just noticed it now.
Can you come up with some wording for us?
We want to just move on to the next resolution and then I'll add something. Yeah.
Okay.
I also want to make some comments about this that I had made before, but I just want to reiterate them if you bear with me. This is a non-conforming lot. It's less than 1/3 of an acre. And I really don't think we're making any provision under the circumstances of it's a 3,000 square foot house that's going into a lot that had a 1,300 square foot house. We're allowing 3 levels of living space. We're letting them excavate the basement down near the water table, which I don't understand. This is an area that we have had members of the Silver Beach Association make presentation to the Water Advisory Committee for the town to do water testing for saltwater intrusion. We know that there's saltwater intrusion in this area, and we're allowing these individuals to excavate in the basement deeper to make it make it livable. I don't understand. It's a non-compliant lot, less than 1/3 of an acre. is 50 feet from the water, from the bulkhead, from the wetlands boundary. This was something that was always, now we have the 100-foot barrier, but we used to have the 75, and we didn't like any excavation in that 75-foot. But here, we make accommodation. Under those circumstances, I would like to request that also the applicant have a thief analysis performed. We know the saltwater intrusion in this area.
What will a thief analysis tell us?
Thief analysis, it's in a given area, it will give an analysis of drawdown and the impacts of a given drawdown, which may result in further saltwater intrusion.
We've already restricted them to a 5-gallon per minute pump, so, I mean, they can't go less than that.
I just think we need to understand, we know that there is a saltwater intrusion issue there in Silver Beach. I mean, Silver Beach is all wetlands, basically, in its entirety. We used to do these, I've asked for these in the past. I don't think it's an encumbrance on the applicant.
But I think that's something that should have been asked of them during the hearing. I feel like it's late in the game to make that request.
Does late in the game preclude it?
Yes, because this
It
is,
precludes it? Okay, I'll refer to as Thomas. I mean, I
well,
didn't.
no, I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think it's late because we
Okay.
have a resolution. But this is something that if you wanted to ask it of the applicant, I would have asked it at the hearing, so they could have done that test and given it back to you before the resolution, so you would have had your results.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. We have gotten away from thief analysis in some instances.
Yes, especially in this area. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's not a random wetlands application. We know this is a problematic area.
I think to request that now, though, we would have to reopen the public hearing and then request it.
I don't have a problem with that, but that's, I guess that would be for the board to decide.
What do you think?
I think it's too late to make that request. And I'm honestly not sure how that would change the conditions that we're putting on the application.
Perhaps it might discourage some of the board members from allowing that excavation under the house.
Very different. They're not apples and apples.
Yeah, my recollection on this one was that Teresa Mason, our environmental consultant, didn't agree with the issue of no dewatering for the basement. I'm trying to remember.
Because
I
there's,
was trying to, I'm
Yeah, I'm
trying to remember
what-
what that
yeah.
came out.
yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't have a problem with the basement because it's not going to get that close to groundwater. It maintains a safe distance between groundwater and the
Yeah.
base of
Yeah.
the basement.
And it's not the full
No, it's
It's
a portion of it,
Yeah. it was-
right?
Right.
I think that if we would, I hear what you're saying. I think if we were gonna ask, we should have asked earlier. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of go with our environmental consultant on this one.
She didn't have a problem with the basement.
Yeah.
I have language for that condition if you want.
Okay.
Applicant shall not remove any ground or surface water in process of excavation. Is that? sufficient?
Yep.
So that would be condition, I guess, just added as condition 12.
Applicant should not remove any ground or surface water. Is that how you had it?
That's how I had it.
Closed discussion. All in favor of this as amended with taking out or less in number 4 and adding condition 12? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So no opposed. Okay, motion carried. Whereas Merrill S. Rosofsky and Stuart H. Coleman, 31B Dickerson Drive, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 700-22-2-22.2, have petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a wetlands permit to demolish a 243 square foot sunroom, to demolish a 16 square foot chimney, to demolish an 824 square foot pool patio located 64 feet from the wetlands, to demolish a wood retaining wall 64 feet from wetlands, to demolish a 15-foot by 39-foot pool and construct a new 14-foot by 42-foot pool located 71 feet from the wetlands, to demolish a gazebo with 44 square feet of stairways and walkways located 43 feet from wetlands, to demolish 2,262 square feet of asphalt driveway and construct a new permeable driveway located approximately 76 feet from wetlands, to demolish 2 circular stone walls and a raised 418 square foot deck with stairs and a wood retaining wall, to construct a new first floor addition of 166 square feet located 94 feet from wetlands, to construct a new second floor addition with 14 square feet and 125 square feet of second floor deck / balcony above the first floor addition located 94 feet from wetlands, to construct a new raised deck of 1,491 square feet with 129 square foot trellis above and 52 square feet of stairs located 75 feet from wetlands, to construct a new 347 square foot ADA compliant ramp from the residence to the existing dock, to bring in approximately 110 cubic yards of sand and loam, to backfill abandoned pool and establish proposed grade for new driveway, to establish a newly vegetated non-disturbance / non-fertilization buffer, and to install 3 dry wells within 100 feet regulated area for swimming pool and runoff, Town of Shelter Island, New York. And whereas a notice of disapproval was issued by the Town of Shelter Island Building Department on August 11, 2025. And then there's whereas clauses that you can find online or through the town clerk's office. Get to the results with conditions. So resolved that the town board hereby approves the issuance of a wetlands permit for the proposed demolition, construction, and addition at 31B Dickerson Drive in accordance with 31B Dickerson, prepared by Mary Ballard Ward, AIA, dated February 25th, 2025, and last revised January 12th, 2026, sheets G 1.0, L 1.0, and L 2.1, and structural plans and elevations prepared by Delandro Andrews Engineering, dated November 13th, 2024, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall provide a 30-foot vegetated buffer as shown on the above referenced revised plans prepared by Mary Ballard Ward, AIA. The 30-foot vegetated buffer shall include a 4-foot wide pedestrian path. 2, the applicant shall record a new covenant which prohibits the enclosure of the approved deck within the 100-foot regulated area. The town attorney shall review and approve proposed covenant before applicant records said covenant. 3, the applicant shall direct the discharge from the existing pool into dry wells. 4, dewatering for the purposes of swimming pool construction and installation is strictly prohibited. 5, leaders and gutters shall be installed directing roof runoff into subsurface dry wells or other approved drainage structures to minimize stormwater runoff. 6, any work or disturbance and storage of construction materials shall be confined to the limit of clearing or ground disturbance shown on the approved plans. 7, prior to the commencement of any construction activities, a continuous line of trenched-in wire-backed silt screen shall be staked as necessary to prevent runoff from the property. The screen shall be maintained, repaired, and replaced as often as necessary to ensure proper function until all disturbed areas are permanently vegetated. Sediments trapped by the screen shall be removed away from the screen to an approved upland location before the screen is removed. The wire-backed silt fence shall be a minimum of 14-gauge wire with a 6-inch mesh spacing. The 36-inch posts shall be driven a minimum of 16 inches into the ground and set no more than 10 feet apart. Silt fencing shall be recessed by trenching 6 inches into the ground. 8, all areas of soil disturbance resulting from the project shall be revegetated and mulched immediately upon completion of the project within 2 days of final grading or by the expiration date of the wetland permit, whichever is first. If revegetation is impractical due to time of year, temporary mulch shall be applied and final revegetation performed as soon as weather conditions favor germination and growth. 9, the town board and/or its designee reserves the right to require additional native revegetation and/or other restoration measures in the event that upon final inspection, a finding is made that the goals of establishing a continuous healthy cover of native or natural vegetation within the designated revegetation areas have not been achieved. 10, a final wetland inspection shall be applied for and obtained upon completion of all permitted activities. In the event that the town or its designee determines that the property is not in compliance with all of the terms and conditions of this permit, the applicant shall submit additional applications for a final wetlands inspection. 11, 2 copies of the final as-built survey shall be submitted and the required final wetlands inspection. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas XV Property LLC, care of Harry and Kathy Titonis, 2 Charlie's Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 700-23-1-24.8, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for a permit for modification of their pre-existing dock to remove 16 pilings and 192 square feet off the seaward end of the stationary dock, to construct a 4-by-6 foot platform with 3-by-12 foot aluminum ramp leading onto a 5-foot by 40-foot floating dock secured with 2 anchor pilings, and to supply and install 4 tie-off piles and add 6 fender piles as per plans prepared by K.S. Costello Marine Contracting Corporation dated June 24, 2024, and approved by the New York State DEC on November 19, 2024. And whereas the applicant submitted revised plans to remove 16 piles and 192 square feet of the seaward end of the stationary dock to construct a 4-foot by 6-foot platform with a 3-foot by 12-foot aluminum ramp leading onto a 5-foot by 38-foot 4-inch floating dock secured with 2 anchor piles and 2 supply and install 2 tie-off piles and add 6 fender piles as per plans prepared by K.S. Costello Marine Contracting Corporation dated June 3rd, 2025, and whereas on June 30, 2025, October 10th, 2025, and December 1st, 2020, and February 2nd, 2026, a public hearing was held on the subject application, whereas comments were received and taken under consideration. Whereas the subject application was referred to the Waterways Management Advisory Committee and a report was taken into consideration. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned construction as per plans prepared by K.S. Costello Marine Contracting dated June 3rd, 2025, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant obtain an amended New York State DEC approval for the approved plans prepared by K.S. Costello Marine Contracting Corporation dated June 3rd, 2025. After said applicant has filed with the town clerk a certificate that the owner has at least $300,000 liability insurance on the location and operations covered by said permit, a copy of the contractor's current home improvement contractor's license, a certificate from the contractor performing the operations covered by said permit, that said contract has an owner's contractor's policy issued in favor of the town of Shelter Island for the liability limits of at least $500,000, covering operation of the contractor pursuant to said permit, and be it further resolved that the said operation shall be completed within 2 years from the date of issuance of this permit. Said permit is subject to the recommended limitations and any requirements that may be necessary under the New York State DEC, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the other agencies having jurisdiction. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Opposed.
Opposed. Sorry about that. Motion carried.
All right. Whereas Shorewood Farms, Inc., Seagull Road has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to maintenance dredge approximately 1,000 yards from the basin entrance to a depth of 6 inches, 6 feet below mean low water, and whereas a public hearing was held on February 2nd, 2026 for all persons to be heard in favor of or opposition to the application, and whereas the applicant has obtained approval for the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for this project on December 8th, 2022, now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned dredging work to run concurrently with the New York State DEC approval, which shall expire December 8th, 2027. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Whereas pursuant to Resolution 421 from October 20th, 2025, George Zinger was reappointed to serve as a member of the Board of Assessment Review for a term of October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2029. And whereas Section 523 of the Real Property Tax Law prescribes BAR appointments, the state that term and states that terms of that office must begin on October 1st and end on September 30th, 5 years later. Now therefore be it resolved that George Zinger's appointment is hereby amended to state that he is to serve as a member of the Board of Assessment Review for a term to expire on September 30th of 2030. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas pursuant to Resolution 141 from March 14th, 2023, Noel Cunningham was reappointed to serve as a member of the Board of Assessment Review for a term of March 14th, 2023 to March 14th, 2028. And whereas Section 523 of the Real Property Tax Law prescribes bar appointments and states that terms of office must begin on October 1st and end on September 30th, 5 years later, now therefore be it resolved that Noel Cunningham's appointment is hereby amended to state that he is to serve as a member of the Board of Assessment Review for a term to expire on September 30th, 2027. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas a vacancy exists on the planning board, and whereas the town board has advertised for and interviewed applicants, now therefore be it resolved that Sarah Lewis is hereby appointed to serve as a member of the planning board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2028. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Do I read all the names and stuff like this on this next one? Okay, just checking.
They're on file.
Okay, they are on fire. Just want to know where I'm starting. Whereas pursuant to section 31H of the Public Officers Law, a town officer must sign and file a constitutional oath of office within 30 days after the term of the office begins. And whereas the below persons have not yet signed and filed the said constitutional oath of office, and whereas the town board desires to have the below persons serve the town of Shelter Island in their designated capacities, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby appoints the below persons to their designated positions. We have a list available online. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas the town of Shelter Island requests financial assistance from the New York State DEC Household Hazardous Waste State Assistance Grant Program, whereas the town of Shelter Island certifies that it has identified $23,125.75 of matching funds from the town operating budget expenditure code A8160.434, landfill hazard waste carting fee. Now therefore be it resolved that Kenneth Lewis, Commissioner of Public Works, is hereby authorized and directed to submit an application for a 50% grant award amount of $23,125.75 for the New York State DEC reimbursable grant for costs related to the Municipal Household Hazardous Waste State Assistance Program for the contract year of 2025. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $65,313 from the 2026 A3120.491 police contracts account to the town of Southold for police dispatch agreement for the year of 2026. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $13,167.28 from the 2026 A3120.491 police contracts account to TriTech Software Systems, a Central Square company, for the annual software maintenance fee. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $17,500 from the 2026 A1680.476 IT computer maintenance account to the East End Computers LLC for the annual data service and backup for the police department, town hall, highway, justice court, EMS, and recycling center with a term of January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend a sum of $14,500 from the 2026 A1680.476 IT computer maintenance account to East End Computers LLC for IT management and other support services for the year of 2026. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas the town of Shelter Island has received a donation from the Shelter Island Ambulance Foundation in the amount of $12,000 to be used towards the purchase of a replacement Lucas CPR device, battery charger with anti-slip plate, and a 4-year maintenance contract to be paid to Stryker Sales LLC. Now therefore be it resolved that the following 2025 budget modification is hereby approved. $12,000 increase to the 2025 A2705A ambulance donations revenue account and a $12,000 increase to the 2025 A4540.200 ambulance equipment expenditure account. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolved that the following 2026 budget modification is hereby approved. $14,726.83 increase to the 2026 DA 2680 Insurance Recovery Revenue Account to be funded by the reimbursement check from NYMER for claim number TSHI-2026-001-001 and $14,726.83 increase to the 2026 DA 5130.446 Machine Repairs Expenditure Account. So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
resolve that the following 2026 budget transfers are hereby approved. $5,508 from the A8160.100 PS Landfill Personnel Services to DA 5140.100 Brush and Weeds Personnel Service due to an employee being paid out of the incorrect budget line for the January payroll. And $162 from the A8160.129 landfill double time to DA 5140.168 brush and weeds double time due to an employee being paid out of an incorrect budget line for the January payroll. And $700 from the Highway Capital Reserve Fund to the A8160.200 landfill equipment for the purchase of East End Genesis unloader trailer 48 feet that was approved by Resolution 489 on December 22nd, 2025, and subject to permissive referendum. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the following 2025 budget transfers are hereby approved. $1,230 from A3120.400 Police Maintenance to A3120.200 Police Equipment to transfer unused funds to equipment, and $2,178.70 from A3120.272 Police New Car to A3120.200 Police Equipment to transfer unused funds to equipment, and $2,416.58 from A3120.491 Police Contracts to A3120.200 Police Equipment to transfer unused funds to equipment, and $1,000 from A3120.400 Police Maintenance to A3120.273 Police Firearms and Ammunition to cover underpaid invoices, $270 from A1220.492 Supervisor School Travel and Mileage to A1220.491 Supervisor Service Contracts to cover unpaid invoices, $20,000 from A3510.498 Animal Control Deer Reduction Management, and $5,500 from A3120.100 PS Police Personnel Services to A3120.200 Police Equipment to cover the remaining balance of the multi-year capital project related to the radio systems upgrade. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolved that the 2025 general fund claims numbered 2547 through 2561 in the amount of $56,887.53, 2025 highway claims numbered 308 through 311 in the amount of $1,174.75, and 2025 community preservation fund claim number 46 in the amount of $509.54 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of same. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Resolved that the 2026 general fund claims numbered 120 through 260 in the amount of $97,011.96. 2026 highway claims number 13 through 31 in the amount of $20,019.75 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of same. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, at this point, we will open up the floor for anyone wishing to make any public comments. Come on up.
Good morning, Stephen Jacobs. I mostly want to give you an opportunity to correct something that I think was a mistake in the last issue of the reporter. The way you corrected something a couple of work sessions ago. Excuse me, there was a mistake in the reporter. Their editorial last week regarding 2 School Street said in part, and I'll quote, "We wonder if this was the right first choice, which opened the town board to a lot of criticism from the very people whose votes would be needed to secure a bond if the sale closes." In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, under the relevant law, there is no permissive referendum for this because the proposed borrowing is not more than 5 years. As a result of which, if people have an objection to either completing the sale or to borrowing to fund the sale, they can't wait for a referendum that's never going to take place. They have to speak out now. Am I missing something, or did the reporter get it wrong?
I have to go back and look at the reporter, but
Well, I mean, I just read, it talks about whose votes would be needed to secure a bond if the sale closes. This is not going to be put to a vote.
if we move from a bond anticipation note to a bond for the final purchase,
If it's more than 5 years.
yes, then we would need.
And I just like to express a continuing concern and objection to the fact that for either the 5th or 6th consecutive work session, the 2 School Street matter has not been on the agenda. And that's after the reporter, which endorsed the 3 of you for re-election or election, urged public discussion. I think it's frankly an affront to the public that this is still not being fully aired. Thank you.
Anyone else in the physical audience? Jan?
Yeah, I also want to chime in on 2 School Street. Could you provide us with the update? Well, first of all, could you answer
We can't
Stephen's
hear you, but you
questions?
do appear to
Because
be
you have-
unmuted.
Because you have this annoying habit of people, when people ask questions, you're
don't
listening,
have
you're
anything.
nodding your head and then not answering them, just ignoring the public comments. And second, could you provide us with the update on the status of the 2 School Street? The last I've heard, you bid for the property on February 14th. It was supposed to have closed on the, January 14th. Was supposed to have closed within 30 days. So 30 days have passed 3 weeks ago almost now. So what is the status of that transaction, whether the town is going through with it or not?
I will let Thomas update because he's been in contact with.
Yeah, I'm working out time with the referee and the purchaser, or the foreclosure attorney to do a closing by mail. We've got a title report. I just received an updated survey. So we should be ready to close, within the next few weeks. It's kind of, they put that in the terms of sale, they put 30 days, but really it becomes a scheduling matter with the foreclosure attorney who's upstate, the referee who's on the island, and us.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jan, you have a follow-up question?
I have
Oh, wait, yeah, Lynn, we'll let you go. And we'll go
In
back
terms
to you.
of School Street, do you release the final papers? Or do we have to foil it, such as we'd like the survey? Do we have to foil that, or do you just release them?
Thomas question.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to foil it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Jan, you had a follow-up question? And you need to unmute.
Mute.
There
Can
we
you
go.
hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, so it seems like despite the broad opposition of the public to this, outrageous transaction, I mean, that's the word that comes to mind, you are determined to proceed with this purchase. Could you illuminate us whether you had a chance to inspect the condition of the property, whether you have ever seen it? What did you decide the use of this property will be, and where will the money come from to pay for it?
We have not gotten to inspect the property, as with most, or I think all foreclosures, that's the way it is. And we have not decided on what the use will be, that we are in the process of selecting companies to do a facilities master plan, and that will be part of it. Anyone else? Stephen?
I assume, at least hope it was inadvertent, but the agenda for today's work session did not indicate that there was going to be a public comments portion.
It was in the back of the agenda for the special meeting. Normally, in every town board meeting, at the end of the meeting, we allow for public comments. And so we didn't put it on for the work session because we were going from the special meeting to the work session. So
Okay,
same thing.
maybe other people understood that. I did not.
Bert?
Yeah, Bert Wave, since it's talking about 2 School Street. I did see it in the agenda before you put in your bid, and I came to the town board and I mentioned it to you. So I don't think when you get surprised from a lot of these people in the audience, I wasn't surprised about it after as much as these people were talking about it. But I did raise questions about it. And, thinking about your decision-making and also everything else that you have on your table, it does make sense if you do put in a water system, a simple water system that was discussed in the last year that the Suffolk County Water Authority could put in a well at Satcham's and bring water into the center buildings. And that was discussed using some of that $125 million with the $1.2 million grant that was available. So if you look at it in a broader context, the purchase has a greater value, I think, if you go ahead and follow that path of going with Suffolk County Water to put in that well in Satcham's and bringing it into the center buildings.
Jan?
Yes, I'm being constantly cut off by whoever is operating the equipment. So could you please tell that person who is operating this equipment to not cut me off until I finish and I have a chance to add follow-up questions. So just the speaker who just spoke, so is this the use of the property to put some kind of, what does this 2 School Street property have to do with Suffolk County Water Authority? Could you explain this? Because there is some kind of apparently design for use of this property that the public is not aware of. So could you please elaborate on that?
The town board has made no decisions on how the property is to be used. So the speaker, that was his suggestion.
Okay, so So you have nothing to do with it. There is no some kind of plan that you're pursuing that you're not informing the public of, right?
Correct. The town board has not had any discussions about what to do with the property.
Yeah. Okay, so can you elaborate on where the money is gonna come from to pay for this property?
The money initially will come out of the fund balance, but then will be replaced with a bond anticipation note.
So this bond anticipation note, is that gonna be subject to the permissive referendum?
No, it was already done with the resolutions that were passed previously.
Okay, so that's the bond up to the duration of 5 years, is that correct?
Correct. It's 1 year and it can be renewed up to 5 years. And it
That's
will
how
be,
you got around of getting a public to approve this capital investment, which was not in the budget, and you're just spending taxpayers' money without them having anything to say about it.
there will be, if it gets moved to a bond, then the public will have an opportunity.
Well, you just said that you don't need the public to weigh in.
Not for a bond anticipation note, but we do for a bond.
Yeah, so up to 5 years, you can renew it and you don't have to ask the public for permission. Do you think this is the responsible use of the taxpayers' money to buy a property that you have not inspected, but yet you bid almost 800,000? You don't know what the use is, or at least you're not disclosing to the public what the use will be, and you're not saying where the money is going to come from. Do you think this is the responsible stewardship of taxpayers' money?
We will, once decisions are made on how it's going to be used, then the public can weigh in. And
How can the public weigh in
I mean,
again?
the public will make a decision on whether or not we made the right decision. It was a unique opportunity. The town owns very little land outside of CPF properties.
It was unique opportunity for what exactly?
For the
Purchase
town,
land in the center of town.
yeah,
Yes,
The
and
public will
for
also
what use?
working-
For what use?
We're also working, as we stated before, on a facilities master plan, which we believe this will be a part of. And the public will be able to have transparency into that plan, which will include the use of our property that we already have here in the center of town, both the town, all the land that the municipal buildings are on currently, with like all the buildings that are here, the empty lot beside us, and also including the 2 schools street. So that'll all be included, and that will be a process that will be open to the public. So that's where the use of it, we'll be talking with experts about best uses. And then that process will be transparent to the public. So you'll have a
So why don't
chance to.
why don't you weigh in? What do you think the best use of it is, since you obviously are in support of this transaction? Why don't you explain this to the public?
I mean, I have before, and I'm happy to again. I see that we have many different items or many different facilities that we need to kind of think about. We know that we have to move the fit center out of the school, that's known. The senior center, I don't think is appropriately housed in a basement. And then we also know that we need to address housing. So I don't know how that's going to work. Which is going to go where, which is why we're doing a facilities master plan. But we do know that we don't have space for all those things at current.
Mhm. Okay, I have no further questions.
anyone else before I close the special meeting? Pam?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Can I just ask, in the effort of transparency, that these documents do not need to be foiled for by the by the public to find out the surveys and all the things on this transaction? Obviously, you already have agreed to, get a bond to do this purchase. And I think that it would be in the best interest of the public and the town board that it is in fact posted on the town website. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else before we close the special meeting? Okay. Make a motion to close the special meeting and go into the work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. First item on the agenda for the work session is the History Museum has requested to use the town lot adjacent to the History Museum for overflow parking. And there's a number of events that this will be used for. The farmer's market, which is running from Saturday, May 30th through Saturdays, September 5th. There may also be October and holiday markets that have not yet been decided. And then there's also possibility that it'll be needed for colonial wool spinning on March 7th, an opening exhibit of Shelter Island during the Revolution, June 6th, May 31st, the Zachary Studenroth Historic Homes Preservation, July 12th, Bill Blair, Culper's Thigh Story, August 2nd, Noel Gish, Battle of Long Island. We have historically granted requests similar to this and done so via resolution. So just wanted to get the town board's feeling on that. And also, Thomas, I was wondering whether or not, rather than resolution, that we do something slightly more formal.
Right, I mean, if it's for specific events, right? Like it's not is it an ongoing lease or is it for specific events and dates?
It's been usually sort of not specific, like they have the ability to do it. Like that's always been my understanding is that, there could be these items, but there could be more that get added or, a particular, event, or a day that there's just more visitors, they might just use it.
Okay, yeah, so if it's an ongoing, thing that they have access to kind of whenever they need it, then it's probably more appropriate to be a lease. If there's discrete events, then it's probably more appropriate to be a license. So that's up to, I can draft either one.
The only thing that I was thinking was just thinking about the things that are going to be happening on the back of the property, potentially starting, I would guess earliest, like the fall, of just like thinking about, do we want to make it through like the farmer's market and then events after that? Because we might need access to the property afterwards, just like for timing.
Yeah, that was crossing my mind too.
Yeah.
Thinking like,
Because it's just like, I know you guys have like a lot of events during the summer, which should be fine. I can't imagine that would be, you know what I mean? But I don't know when that, like, we're going to start to need access to that site. Should all go as planned.
Yeah.
Right?
We should always maintain access to the back of the lot. Like, we're not letting them have the entire lot, just that one section of parking area. So we should always have access.
And I think that that's the other thing that maybe also to start thinking about is I know like sometimes when I've gone there for a farmer's market, I've been directed to park all the way in the back. But especially with like the stuff that we have going on that we're going to be having going on this fall, like maybe we should kind of talk about, because we might need to be like, I would imagine that the stars align and everything go as planned, that the highway department is going to start to need to move to clear items back there. And so I was thinking like, maybe we should be just really specific and just like making sure that they have access in the front, but to restrict access in the back for overflow.
Designate specific parking areas and no-go zones.
Yeah, just because like with all the stuff moving around. Hey,
come on up.
come on up. I was like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
I just
state your name
wanted,
for the record.
okay, I just wanted to clarify on the use of the parking lot.
Nanette, state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nanette Warren, Director, Shelter Island History Museum. So the use of the lot is really on Saturday mornings and evenings, so it's not during, regular operations of the museum. Farmers market being the greatest use, of course. And on average, a person stays at the farmer's market about a half hour, so it's a pretty rapid turnaround.
Okay.
And after 15 years of doing this, we kind of got it down, how we do that. We do spray paint actual parking spaces, And we pay attention to the size and shapes of the cars and vehicles so that they are parked appropriately. We haven't had any problems with that. So I don't know if that helps or not, but it is not a daily use of the lot. We probably will be having an oyster event in September. We don't have that date yet, but that is another occasion where we might need excess parking. Otherwise, our parking that we have is perfectly adequate for us.
Yeah, I think the only thing, and I've been there, and the parking attendants, they do a great job. But I think the only thing I would just be concerned about, just like in this kind of transitional period, like I said, is the parking in the back area. And I think that with, like, I know that the highway crew is gonna have to be back there moving stuff around and, you know, I don't know what's underneath there. And so I would just, I think that we should we should not have that like to be an overflow to the front, just because, just for just like the safety of folks, because I don't know, who knows what's going to be uncovered as they move things around, you know?
Will the highway department need that access on a Saturday?
No, I'm saying, they would, I can't imagine that they would be back there. But what I'm saying is as they're gonna have to clear that back area. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to, like, let's say that I'm just like thinking like liability, like, let's say they go in on a Friday and they're clearing stuff out and they uncover glass or something like that, but they're not gonna, you know what I mean? I guess it has historically been used for overflow parking for the front. And I'm just like concerned in this kind of interim time that I would just, I don't know if we should be using it as like overflow to the front. So maybe keeping it just in the front part where there's like the outlined spaces would be like my suggestion, just for like the safety of everybody. And
Maybe what we can do with what Thomas works up, we have a diagram.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
lays out exactly what the, you know, what the parameters of use are.
Let us know.
All right, cool,
Thank you.
awesome.
We'll do it.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else on this topic? So Thomas, you'll work on that and circulate it to the town board and to the History Museum. And we'll work with Ken Lewis, highway superintendent, to make sure he's good with that. The next item on the agenda is just to talk briefly about, we set the public hearing for the senior exemption, but we did not set the public hearing for the tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. And the reason for that is we do not have Benjamin today, and Liz needs to recuse herself because she's married to a fireman and could potentially benefit from this tax exemption. And I have something before the Board of Ethics, just examining the relationship I have as treasurer for the fire district and whether or not that precludes me from weighing in on fire department matters, which is a separate entity. So we did not set that public hearing at the March, is that our next town board meeting? We can set that public hearing for April 6th. The other one was the exemption for ADU discussion. And and on all of these, the original, we were working to try and get these passed before March 1st, but obviously the snowstorms knocked that out. So these will not go into effect for next year, for the tax year that starts December 1st, 2026 through November 30th, 2027. These will all take effect starting December 1st, 2027, just with the timing. So while we have time to continue to work on these, because it's going a whole year away, since people have started to pay attention and we've done some work on it, I thought I'd keep these on the agenda just so that we could have the discussion.
Yeah, makes sense. We're already most of the way there.
On the ADU, and, you know, looking at some of the letters and comments that we'd gotten in and talking to people, and now that we have time, I thought there was a couple more things that we could look at more carefully with the ADUs.
Okay.
And one of the things is, and even going back, I was like, oh, we did already put in that they have to be accessory apartments subject to code section 133-1B, which says, so it's not just accessory sleeping quarters, it has to be an accessory apartment. And in other parts of the code section, it does talk about that in order to get this exemption, an accessory apartment, the residence has to be owner occupied. So I wanted to pull in that piece of code section as well. And I think that has a different code section number. So I wanted to add that. And it was 133-17C3.
It's already, I'm just trying to think about it. So it's already in I'm just trying to think if we put it in the exemption, it refers to the code. And then how long would the exemption would just be, I'm just trying to think of other things that we've done. If it refers to the code and then we change the code, we'd have to change the exemption.
Yes. Yeah, so
We feel about that.
yeah, well, that's another way is we could just write it in so that it's not married to the code section specifically. Thomas, I would get your thoughts on which you think is preferable. Because this is, it is its own code section. So we'll let you
Okay, yeah.
take a look at that. So that was one thing that I thought needed to be added. I also thought that we're trying to get more accessory apartments registered. The town, the building department does not have that many that are legally. And so I'd want to put in something that it must be registered as a year-round rental with the building department. And that way it does get its annual inspections and those requirements get met. The other thing is a concern was raised that someone who doesn't really need this exemption. And I cleaned up the analysis on how many that we actually have. And initially, the information that came from the building department or from the assessor's office had the code section of what they consider an accessory dwelling unit. But then if we refined it down, we actually only have 9 accessory apartments in the last 10 years. So we're not,
That's our housing issue, but yes.
we're not getting that many of them. So, and then that took out, all of the ones, anything that was in the near shore overlay district that would not be qualified for this exemption because it can't be rented year round. But if we wanted to put an income limit on it, could we use something? I have Judith checking into utilizing, if you're eligible for a star exemption, that puts you below a certain income threshold. And if that's something that would be easy for the assessor's office to be able to check that, okay, this person, it used to be you would get a reduction when you had a star exemption. Now you get a star check in December if you're signing up now. So it doesn't run through the assessor's office the way it used to. But if we can check on it, that would be one way to also limit it to people of a lesser income. So I don't know.
I like that idea. I mean, I think the idea of doing an income limitation matches with what our intent is. I think that the only thing that's always tricky with that, as we look at it with housing, is just the administrative burden. So if you can tie it to something where folks are already doing that and that information's already in the office,
in a system.
I think that's exactly. I think that's a great way to tie it together. So I think that's a really good solution ever.
Yeah, if it's something that the assessor's office. And then here was my last thought that I wanted to introduce is these, as the ADU plus one program, the owner, who's building the ADU unit has to meet a certain income level in order to qualify. But the rents themselves do not have to be below, below market rates. And this is something that maybe you need to check for us, is could we, for that 10-year period while this is in place, require that the rents be, and I wrote down, at or below the New York HUD Metro fair market rents for Nassau, Suffolk County each year. And so for a period of 10 years, those rents would have to be at those levels. And for 2026, I printed out the HUD rates.
That's, you know, I was thinking of, like, we have, just because we have a little bit of extra time, I know that, I was wondering if you could also think about, I know that the Community Housing Board is actually considering doing a supplemental, they're like thinking about doing a supplemental grant. So I wonder if we could, if they're already doing that work, if we could, you know what I mean? Like thinking about and tying it to, so I don't want to like kill the assessor's office by making them look up all this stuff. But I guess I'm wondering if like saying, if that were to go through, like, and I know that they're working on it, but just like tie it to like, oh, if you got the, whatever the heck they're gonna call it, you know what I mean? The supplemental for the ADU program, then you would just by virtue of that be eligible. So then, because the Community Housing Board then would already be doing the income qualification. I'm just trying to think of like, how do you take administrative burden off them? But I think that would be fine, right?
Yeah, it's something to consider. I thought it was some, you know, like a way to get the rents to be lower. And the person.
It's not very much, right?
Well, yeah, the savings, if you build a unit that's, you know, you have the cutoff of 200,000. Over a 10-year period, you're going to save 2,700 at today's tax rate.
Right.
Town tax rate, you're going to save $2,772 over the full 10-year period. It's, you know, at max, it's $414 in the early years, and then it decreases after that. So I don't know if it's enough of a hook, but I just wanted to throw that out there to see what the town board thought. And I also had done an analysis, which we get to a point where we're presenting this for public hearing, do a presentation. The cost for each one of these in a given year is 10 cents. Like the amount of tax that the rest of the taxpayers don't get to save by having this 200,000 taken off is 10 cents for someone who owns a house valued at the average of 1,621,000. So that's what the taxpayers are losing for each ADU.
If all of those 9 were qualified.
Yeah,
Right,
and
which of course
they would never be qualified. It would only be looking forward.
Right, but just like,
yeah. And so in the high year, it's, you know, when after 10 years where you've got, if you're putting on 1 per year, I think the high year is $2.66. Oh no, that was for 4 ADUs. It would cost over a 10-year period, $4.64.
I think it's, I mean, I guess I think it's worth it to put it in. Maybe every little bit helps. I think it's not really going to move anything, but, you know, I think, but every little part helps when you're putting something together.
So
So,
this would only apply to ADUs built in 2027 on, essentially.
Yeah,
right.
like.
Which will be mostly through the ADU +1 program
Right.
money by then. So
Right.
it's like, it's pretty,
It's a minimal number.
yeah, it's de minimis.
But anyway, so those.
But yeah, thank you for
Those
doing that
are the
math.
4 things that I thought we could build into the legislation to more align it with what we are trying to accomplish with this. So I'll give these notes to you, Thomas, and let you work out the draft.
Okay, great.
And we'll bring it back and see if we want to keep moving forward, set a public hearing, and then let the public weigh in. So that was that. The next item on the agenda is the creation of a public safety task force. And
That's really tied in with the OLA legislation.
yes,
It's not on here, but it's kind of
I think she just sent us a revision.
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a revision
just-
came in last night, so we
Yeah.
had taken down what was sent a couple of weeks ago off of the website and posted what was presented at a meeting that East End supervisors, mayors, and I think a few town board members and staff from other towns sat in on and got to listen in on. So they took some of the suggestions from last week's meeting. I didn't get a chance to look at it. I did see the email.
Yeah, I looked at it like very briefly as it came in last night.
So we're not talking about the legislation, but just, and I didn't even actually get a chance to look to see like if they've reworded the task force paragraph.
Good question.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I was very sad that I missed that meeting.
It was good discussion. It was really good discussion.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, the 5 East End towns, while everyone can take this and modify this legislation to their own towns, I think it would be helpful if all 5 towns are kind of together on what they
Yeah,
pass, just for consistency.
agreed. And we can talk a little bit, like, obviously, let's talk about the task force, but also just because this is like, I know I've had folks ask me about it. So I did just want to just kind of ask, like, we've got this and just like what the process will be. Obviously, we need to sit with it. We just got on it last night. Would we potentially put it on for next week to discuss?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, obviously, depending on our
Yeah, now that we've
insane
got,
schedule with
yeah.
snow apocalypse, but
Yeah, I want to let all of us take a look at this and then also just touch base with the rest of the East End towns and villages to see like how do we want to proceed independently or regroup to kind of air anything that we've got. And it looks like, just looking at the updated one, and we'll get this posted to the website for everybody so that, I don't know, did you get it, Shelby? I'll forward it to you. Yeah, so there shall be established by the town/village board a community task force on immigration enforcement. The members of the task force shall be appointed by the town and shall fully represent the full range of community stakeholders with an interest in maintaining public safety during immigration enforcement operations where no judicial warrants are produced. The town shall consult with the task force concerning all relevant matters regarding immigration enforcement operations within the town. The task force shall also consider recommendations to the town regarding policies necessary to ensure the safety of the public in response to these immigration enforcement operations, including but not limited to continued safe physical access by the public to buildings, facilities, and places that provide essential services such as education, healthcare, human services, transportation, and other essential services. So it looks like that's remained pretty much the same, although I thought there was going to be some rewording.
yeah. And we had kind of, you know, in those discussions with the other towns, and then kind of looking at what Southold had done. The Southold one includes 2 town board members, 2 Southold town police, a member of the police advisory committee, which we don't have, a member of the town's anti-bias task force, a local school district representative, a Greenport village representative, and a community member. So just as like looking at what somebody they kind of already done. And one of the things, like when I was reading that, oh my gosh, mid-February, I was thinking maybe we could think about doing 2 town board members, 2 police department, 1 to school, 2 school boards, and then kind of thinking about how to address like the community member piece. There's, you know, folks that have been involved that we could consider as an appointment. And then the other idea that I had was potentially even drawing from potentially members of the Health and Wellness Committee. I just thought it's like, that's like an overlapping group that are, I know some of the members and potential members are, it just seems within their charge. Because I was, you know, one of the things that we had talked about is like, hey, how do you stand this up, right? And so talking about the language in the legislation kind of talks about like appointing, and I was wondering if we could anyway, for our discussion, kind of just draw from folks that already are kind of already appointed and kind of representational. So anyway, that was just like kind of an idea that I thought of to maybe be able, and then it would be what would that be, like 8 people? Right?
Just because I missed the meeting, I wasn't able to Zoom. What did each town think that the objective of the task force was? Like, what is the mission of the task force and how is it going to help? I'm trying to understand the purpose and intention of it.
Well, I started to make some notes, and I mean, there were concerns by some towns, you know, whether or not, like, how this fits together with the police commission, or the police commissioners.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, not overstepping into police commissioner role. Communication seemed to be a big thing.
That was the big thing I was gonna say.
And also education, like educating the public about, you know, what can and can't be done if you see, you know, an enforcement action taking place, like where are you, you know, overstepping, you know, what can you do, what can't you do, and then communicating that out to the public. You know, I think there was some talk about, you know, setting up protocols. But, and then other concerns that I had is how we're going, if we're going to structure this, like we need to come up with a, you know, kind of a mission statement, like what is the purpose of this task force? How, like, what kind of meetings are we going to hold? Are they going to be in person? Are they going to be hybrid? Do we need to then assign a clerk? We don't have any clerks available with available hours. So we'd need to pull in either somebody new or budget, you know, some overtime, but we don't have a budget for this task force. So we're going to need to find money either within the budget or pull it from contingency to cover that clerk cost, and then any public, you know, printing, any, you know, any types of expenditure.
Why don't we, as police commissioners, have the chief come in and have an executive session of sorts, discuss this, the legal aspect of it and the task force.
Yes. And
I think we should, we haven't done that, right?
No, we haven't.
We should do that. We should start there. Understanding. I know from the meeting, the Zoom meeting, they talked about infrastructure and protecting infrastructure on the island. The first thing that popped into my head was the ferry systems. Perhaps the identifying ferry individuals, Richford Hunt or Cliff Clark or whomever designated, should be on the line just to make sure that there's no interference with ferry service. I mean, especially now, I mean, we happen to be one of the slips in North Ferry's closed, so there's only one slip open on the island, so we can't have a boat tied up there. That would, and that they talked about as well as Brian Dolger as a contact with the school. If there is activity going on the island, perhaps notify the school that this is going on. That those three should be involved in.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, like, that those would be kind of the things that the task force would really like take up.
Right, yes, but we need to, like, have some of the guidance and parameters in place. Of course.
Yeah.
So your suggestion is probably a good one. So I think what we need to do is probably call that meeting a legal session. Thomas.
I mean, it could be a personnel issue, so, but yeah, either way.
Let's talk to chief and also just kind of think about, and then I think also just think about, were we to move forward with the task force, like literally, you know, you're talking about like the clerk and I guess for me, I think it would be maybe, right? Like, what is the difference in our town structure between a task force and a committee? Like, how does that, are they, like, do they operate pretty much like the same? You know, I'm just.
Operate the same, because we had like the Shoreline Access Task Force a few years ago. We also had the Police Reform Task Force. So it's something that's formed, and that's, you know, we have to come up with what the mission is. It's for a specific purpose. And then if it's something that we're always going to have, you know, like Suffolk has what their anti-bias task force. I think that's more a standing committee.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be, I mean, at least how I think about it is it, hopefully it's a temporary thing that we need.
I mean, some of the goals of it, if we're just creating protocols and
Mhm.
like a communication strategy and education, I feel like we can probably do that just by meeting with, the school superintendent,
Yeah.
the ferries, without having to create an entire like organization around it.
Yeah.
It may be able to do it in a couple of meetings and just now have protocol, which, I
Yeah.
mean, some of this protocol you wouldn't necessarily want to advertise, but you want to internally know how it's going to run and then
Yeah.
communicate the parts to the public that you would want them to know.
Yeah.
Just for safety and other things, you don't always release all of your, I don't know, there's,
Yeah.
it's all things that we need to discuss, but.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it
I
has
don't
to
know
be, I think it's just like kind of coming up with probably, yeah, like protocols and a communication plan and like how it works, and then we know. If it happens again, then we just are like, okay, we do A, B, C, right? And everybody knows what to expect.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully even with the, it's like thinking about how it would affect the budget. Hopefully if we thought we could accomplish it in a handful of meetings, it might not. Hopefully it wouldn't have a big,
Yeah.
And then if we were to, I mean, at least how I would think about it, if it was something that could be accomplished in a handful of meetings, amazing. And then I think we should, then obviously it would just need to come back to the, maybe like on a budget, we could decide, I don't know, I'm just like making stuff up. I'm not saying this is what we should do, but let's say we're like, okay, we're going to approve that we're going to have a clerk for 4 meetings. And then if it goes beyond that, it has to come back to us to kind of think about how that would work financially and what we're going to draw from, right? Sounds like a standing thing that we need to rethink about how we're going to
Yes.
do it, fund it, find that money.
Pull together a legal session that we go through some of the things and think about the roles, mission, directive. Yeah.
Stephen Jacobs, just a question.
Uh-huh.
Would the task force be subject to the open meetings law? Because if so, maybe it's better, not just from a cost standpoint, but from a general standpoint, not to do it all in public.
Thank you. All right, so we have some thinking to do on this one.
Yeah. And then with and like I said, so do we think that we would be taking up and kind of putting up the whole legislation that this is included with next week?
Let's figure out whether, how, where the 5 towns and villages, and 10 villages are going collectively.
And then is that something that
Yeah, I'll
you
reach
would
out.
do and then you would
Yes.
communicate back to us?
Yes, yeah.
And then I think even if,
At one point, Supervisor Krupski wanted to pull together the 5 East End towns, and then Fred Thiel and Minerva pulled together last week's Zoom ahead of that. Yeah, let me just reach out, because I think we really should have something that everyone kind of agrees is approaching it the same way. But
okay.
yeah, let me talk to him, because he had said something about trying to do it in early March, which
Okay. Would
3
be,
weeks ago or whenever it was that's too late.
Yeah.
That's taking too long, but suddenly we're here.
right, okay. So maybe even for our next meeting, you could give us an update and then we could kind of decide
Yes. Yeah, which,
because also I think if we're going to go together, it would be important for us as a board to look at it so that we can percolate up anything, you know what I mean? Instead of waiting for it to come down, I think we should look at it and think about what's appropriate for our community.
Yeah.
So that even if we're not able to be part of that discussion, hopefully you can percolate that
yes.
back up. And also we can decide, if there's changes that we don't want or we do want that aren't in there, we don't have to do exactly, we just need to do a policy that's appropriate for us.
Yes. Right.
And, we have the updated version, so we can all look at that and make changes. And then next week, if we have comments, we can bring them.
Yeah, since it just came out revised last night.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, you need to understand, like, okay, what's happening.
And you're able to get that on the website? On our?
Yes, well,
Okay,
yes.
amazing. All right. Thank you.
It is 10:40. We have an executive session that starts at 11:30. So I have a feeling business on town property, we're gonna go to next and see how far we get through that. So we may not get to the rest of the agenda, but we'll see how it goes. I just wanted
Right.
to put out there that we have
Do our best.
an interview at 11:30 and legal counsel at noon. So we do have a couple of hard stops. Okay, business on town property. We have in order, and thank you for all of the businesses that I see here and also on Zoom for sticking with us. I thought we'd be to you by now, but for at least 45 minutes ago. Islander Food Truck. So, Federico, you have if you could state your name for the record. Annie.
Manuel Lopez, from the Islander for the food truck. Yeah.
So Federico is bringing up your application for us all to see. And so what is being proposed, if I pull this up quickly on my computer as well, is that you want to park the Islander food truck at Crescent Beach.
Yeah.
You'd have 2 staff working down there, and you need Suffolk County Department of Health approval. HSC. And you're planning on being down there starting May 23rd. Blow this up. May 23rd, ending September 7th.
Correct.
And from 10:30 in the morning until 5 p.m.
It looks like the same layout as last year.
I was gonna say,
So-
yeah, if you could,
No real changes.
Federico, show us the map. It's not showing, it's showing up on Zoom, but it's not showing
You
up.
passed it, Amber, it's up.
Yeah. Are, Federico, are you pulling this from SharePoint?
Say again?
I'm just asking Federico, are you pulling this from the what?
From the computer.
You know, I mean, are you pulling it from the posted one online or?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw driver's license fly by, and so we wanted to keep that redacted. All right, so the pavilion is, yeah, I don't know, we're not getting it on this screen for the town board members, but it is showing up on Zoom. So you'd be parked in front of the pavilion.
I think what it is we're seeing the wrong monitor. Is Zoom seeing the wrong monitor?
Yeah.
No, Zoom is okay.
Yeah, Zoom is good.
They found their food, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And bear with us. Federico's time here, he's been learning a lot. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the.
Actually, if you want to drop the share, I have that particular image. I can.
Yeah.
The opportunity for me to learn SharePoint even better. One of these.
Yeah, you could just rotate that a little bit for us, Federico. But anyways, so it does look like the same layout as last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supervisor, I can do it from my computer if you want me to, and then everybody can see it.
Yeah, I have it available too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to replace the current share with mine.
If you could just read that through the website.
Yeah.
There.
All right, I'll let you bring up the next one, Federico. Yeah, so last year, I think we just had some conditions that we placed on it, so I just wanted to go through what we did last year.
Okay.
That it was gonna be located east of the gazebo at Crescent Beach in the spot designated by the town. So we'll incorporate this diagram into the resolution. We're also, in the past, we've done just resolutions, but we're going to tighten it up a little bit this year and have it be more of an, was it a permit, Thomas? Like
Like a license agreement?
yeah, license agreement, yeah. So that it's signed by both the town and the applicant so that everyone knows exactly what they're being granted.
Just agree with the condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. The food truck won't block the gazebo. The location will be subject to review by the police department and highway department. We'll put in the dates and times of the, and hours of the operation. There shall be no additional parking spot guaranteed in connection with the application. The licensee shall not cone off a parking spot at any time. The licensee is responsible for daily disposal of the trash that you create in connection with the business. The trash shall be put in receptacles that are different than the town ones down at the beach so that they don't get filled up too much. So you'll take in your trash, take it out. Yeah, certificate of liability insurance, I believe you
I think
have
it's,
already
it's
provided.
it's actually in the application.
You'll provide your Suffolk County Department of Health food truck permit. And you'll have all federal, state, and county licenses. You'll adhere to traffic law. You're going to use a generator that is under 65 decibels per hour, I believe, last year. And that's from a distance of 25 feet. And you'll obtain an operating permit from the building department. Food trucks need to have that, that sign off from the building department. Yeah, so that's, I think we're good with that. Does anyone have any questions or other conditions or concerns?
No, just that we want to confirm that you are using a generator and that it is a quiet generator like last year. Because I think for some reason on the application, it was checked no for a generator.
Yeah, the same.
The same as last time, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Looking forward to lunch on the beach.
Thank you. Next one is Mr. Softy. Do we have someone here from Mr. Softy?
Zoom or no?
I don't
He
see.
didn't confirm if he was coming or not, so.
But let me just pull up that application. If you could, yeah. So Mr. Softy is obviously an ice cream truck. And also will need the Suffolk County Department of Health requirement. Has one employee operating from, it actually does not have a starting date. So I think we need to get that from him. He was going to run from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Stops on September 20th. And
He usually starts Memorial Day weekend, but we need to get
yeah, we
him
need to get that.
Yeah.
The date. And he wants to travel around the, well, he doesn't need it for that. He wants to go to, he wanted the ability to stop at,
Typically, it's Crescent Beach and Wade's Beach.
yeah,
See,
just looking.
on here, but I don't, yeah, I'm just,
It didn't specify.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mr. Softy.
All right, I think we can't do anything more with this until we get him to give us that information.
Yeah.
One of the things I do want to go over with him that people complain about is the noise.
Right.
That when he stops, he keeps playing the music. So I think we might want to put something in this year that when he stops, the music stops.
Right.
You know, within.
Play for 30 seconds and then he's got to turn it off while
Exactly.
everybody's buying their ice cream because otherwise it drives the neighborhoods absolutely crazy.
Yes.
And at the beach, it travels rather far across the water, and people get very upset. It's every 20 minutes for an hour of Mr. Softy music.
So we need to get to him for the
So I
start
think-
date, and then if you want to stop, where, and like flesh that out.
Where, you know, where.
And then maybe we do a provision around the music.
Yes. Yeah, last year we had granted,
Is there any, yeah,
yeah, he was going to park on the west side at Wade's Beach parking lot and on the north side of Crescent Beach, at the designated area by the pavilion and the south side of Crescent Beach where parking transitions from perpendicular to parallel. So we have to make sure that he comes in and we know, and we put that in the application. So if we could try and get him in for next week.
So give him the same location as last year, where it's further down the
If he's
beach.
asking for, let's find out what he's asking for.
Good plan.
Is there anything that I'm missing?
No, I think just the noise restriction and designate the parking spaces.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's gonna wanna go beach to beach, because that's where he makes,
Yeah, I would
a lot
presume
of
so
money.
too, yeah. Next, we have Fieldtown Oysters. That one is new this year. So Bert, do you want to come up and talk about what you're proposing, since this is the first time that we're considering this?
So the WMAC created the ability for Bayman to use the bulkhead at Grace's Lane from period of time of September 15th, I think, till June 15th. And I've been using it for the past several years during that time. And for whatever reason, they said that was what they decided to do, so we used it. Anyway, so, and then years prior to that, I was using Daniel Lord Road. And you know that we got a little problem over there now. So I'm just asking you to continue to use Grace's Lane for the rest of the summer, instead of going back to Daniel Lord Road. So I mean, there's not really much of a change of use that I'm doing, what I'm going to plan on doing over the summer that I do, 10 or 9.5 months during the year. But, this is the, seems like a mechanism within the town that I can approach you to use that space. So without, going to the WMAC and then having resolutions and coming back here through waterways, I thought I would just, do it this way. Is the chief on?
I think Keith is on.
He's gone?
No, I think he's on.
Oh, he's on?
Yes, I'm on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing up a picture of, because what I want to understand is, so, okay, it's up. So the red is where your boat would be maintained
Right.
right now. And then there's over here, there's a dock,
That's the police boat where you're
the circling area.
arrowing now.
And then there's another,
That's a float that's installed for drop-offs. People, or, if you wanted to drag a kayak down off of that or something, I don't know, but I don't think anybody does. It's not that convenient for it, but the town has that little dock there. So I'm forward of that with the boat, and that's where I am. I've been there since, for what the WMAC has allowed in the past several years, right over there. And haven't had any issues. And so if you go back to that share, there's a couple other things going on there too.
Sorry, I dropped it too soon.
One of the things is that in town code, it only specifies allowable use in the off-season. So I'm not sure we would be making an
Yeah, but we-
exemption or a variance to the code if we were to allow in the on-season.
Yeah.
Are there any other
Agreed.
locations other than Grace's Lane that could work?
Well, I mean, I would then ask you to change the code for it because, I mean, I don't understand, why would you not allow me to use it during, June, July, and August, where you do allow me to use it September, through June? Right, what's the issue there?
Off-season.
Well, what does off-season mean? What does that mean?
Other people can recreate in the summertime there. We usually keep the town landings
Who
open.
recreates there, Albert?
The public. There's
Who's the public? How is that? So what are you saying? You're saying that all days are not created equal. Is that what you're saying, Albert? I mean, because why can't they recreate in December?
Is this the best defense is good offense?
I'm
Why are
just
you
asking
coming
you,
at me?
Albert. I'm just asking you.
I'm saying town landings are open during the summer for the general public to recreate.
Well, I understand that. I understand that, Albert. But, you also have town landings that you are allowing people to run businesses on. You have, in the next application is rideshare, and they're using a town landing to do business on it. You have the Camp Quinnipiac has a dock on town property. You allow them to do it.
You're taking over a town.
I'm not taking, Albert, what is Quinnipiac done? What has Quinnipiac done?
Okay, I'm done.
What is Quinnipiac? No, ask me. Answer it. What has Quinnipiac done?
You did tell me, Bert.
You tell me, Albert. You tell me, what has Camp Quinnipiac done to a town landing? Did they take it over? You can't answer that? I mean, I am a little upset, Albert, because you're telling me, you're putting me out of business, is what you're doing. If you say you can't use it, and you're making it an enormous hardship for me. Enormous. Because you're saying in July, from September to June, you can use this bird, but in June, July, and August, you can't because all days on Shelter Island aren't created equal because you got summer people who are more important than anything else, and we have to make it available for them, who don't come down and use it. And you already have a 2-hour limit on it anyway. So who's coming down there? And there's more space for them to use the other parts of that town landing down there. And I didn't use it in the summer because I could use Daniel Lord Road, but now I can't, right? So it is a hardship, Albert.
Why can't you use Daniel Lord Road?
Because there's, the town got a notice of, I didn't see it, but I was told that the town got a notice from the DEC.
I just want to
All
hear
right,
Bert
I
tell me what.
didn't see the notice, but I was told that the town got a notice from the DEC that the grass at that place was disturbed and that needs to be repaired. Because I've had a pulley line there for 30 years, right? 33 years I had a pulley line there. And over that time period, I wore out the grass to the beach, particularly in the last 10 years, because I built a boat specifically for that spot. Built it in my garage, a stitch and glue Garvey that would work for that spot. Not a V-bottom boat, but a flat-bottom boat that I could bring to the beach, and then access to the mooring over there where I kept my oyster boat. So that's why I can't go back there, because I can't understand, how am I gonna not disturb the beach? Right? So, and over there, Albert, if you want to know more about it.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Bert. There's a dock there, right? That you can tie up on the east side of the dock to offload? Is that possible? Isn't that possible?
You can tie up there and offload. I can tie off on either side. I use that dock to offload.
Well, typically on the east side, I'm saying, suggesting the east side, because if somebody comes to launch their boat,
Right.
then you're in their
Well,
way, that's all.
I mean, I don't understand what you're suggesting, Albert.
You have access at Daniel Lord Road.
I'm sorry?
You have access to Daniel Lord Road with the dock, you use the dock.
Right, so what are you saying? You're saying that I have to use a kayak to get out to my boat? Is that what you're telling me? How am I gonna get out to my boat, Albert? How am I gonna get out to my boat? Have a kayak and launch my kayak every day to get out to my boat?
I think.
And then go to the dock? How am I gonna use my
I
skiff?
think this is your problem, Bert, and you're putting it on the town board.
Okay.
It's for
I like
you to
that.
figure
I like
it
that,
out.
Albert. It's my
No.
problem. You're right. It is my problem, Albert.
Yes.
It is. I'm a bayman. I'm an oyster guy, and the town has facilities. So you're saying to me, Albert, that summer people, no, you are. You're saying- No, you are. You're saying.
Don't get that tone with me, please.
Really? Okay.
Don't get the tone with me. We have a discussion, Don't convey that tone. I'm not gonna stand for it, all right?
Okay, then explain it to me then, Albert. Then explain to me what you're saying about summer versus the whole year. Explain that to me. Why can I use it in September through June, right? Up to then, but I can't use it June, July, and August. Explain that to me.
You don't wanna hear it, Bert. I've already explained it, and you don't wanna hear
I'll
it.
sit down. Explain it.
May I step in for a second? There are a couple different things I'm hearing. One is with regards to Daniel Lord Road, I'm hearing a request from Albert. Is there a way to change your behavior that would allow you to stay at Daniel Lord Road? Like if instead of pulling the skiff up onto the beach, you're pulling it into either the ramp or against the dock when you offload, so you don't have to pull it so far up the beach and damage the grass. That's one question. The other one I'm hearing is with regards to Grace's Lane, that the code has it that you can't use it in the off-season. And I believe that's purely because of the increase in population who uses Wade's Beach and the end of Wade's Beach and the current and the number of young swimmers and the influx of people that we get during that time of year. I don't think it's meant to be prejudicial to businesses or baymen or anything like that. I think it was developed as a safety concern. That was my take on it when it was initiated, and I think that's what Albert was trying to relay. So those were just the concerns that I'm understanding. If I'm wrong, please clarify. But, if we can find a location that works, Bert, we would like to. But those are just some of the concerns with the Grace's Lane spot, is just the massive influx of people, whether they be summer people or locals using the beach. It's just a significant number of people in that area using the waters. So I think that's really where that main concern comes from.
How does that impact Wade's Beach?
Well, the end of the beach, the current area gets a lot of traffic. And if you're coming in and out a lot, then it just an increased risk, I think. I'm not, that's just the reason why.
It's a dredged waterway, Mark.
I understand that.
And a police boat is in there.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I mean, and I'm not ferrying things back and forth. I mean, I go in and I go out. I mean, and I observe, safety laws. I mean, how could you judge that as being more unsafe than what happens at the end of Shell Beach, where you don't even have speed limit and you have a buoy and you have people swimming in that area? How can you equate the two and saying that that's more dangerous than what's happening at the end of Shell Beach? Why don't you just restrict boaters coming into West Neck?
My understanding too was that just the increase in recreational use in the summer is why that was that 2-month window there, and also at the Deering Harbor Town dock We have a fisherman who ties up there 10 months of the year, 9 months of the year, and then has to be in and out in a shorter period of time. So it's,
Well, I don't think those are equatable. You have a business district in Deering Harbor. Okay, you have a business district. You don't have a business district at Grace's Lane. You have more than just where that red rectangle is. You have that red rectangle, you have the floating dock behind it, and you have the two sections of bulkhead up to the town police boat, and you have a section of bulkhead that goes past that police bulkhead that is all town landing. And then you have the community property, which is another, item. That's county and town owned.
Right, and that section has restrictions because it's partially owned by the county, so we can't.
Well, you have restrictions, but it also has an agreement that I've spoken to the county and to the Parks Department, and it's the town could do what it wants to do there. Okay, if you wanted to put boats there, you could.
We'd have to get the county to sign on.
They would love to sign off on it. The county would love to sign off on it. Because the county has put into place a program to increase Bayman's activity in waterfront. They actually have a mechanism that now for buying property rights, just like they buy, open space lights to facilitate Bayman to go in. So if you want to go and pursue with the county, that would be great. I think everybody on the island would appreciate that if you wanted to go that direction.
Yeah, you're
But I'm just talking about that one section of the town bulkhead right now.
Right.
That I'm allowed to use, 9 months of the year, and I'm just trying to use it for the rest of the year.
You're referencing the working waterfront legislation.
yes.
Yes, Mhm, right, yeah, thank you.
I think, the thing that I see here is just someone new to all of this, is that when I'm looking at it, is that it doesn't seem to me that we have a specific permit. And again, if I'm misunderstanding, let me know. Or like, how do we permit or license or kind of think about working baymen or fishermen, and like, should that be a separate permit, license, whatever, right? And then just, it seems like we're trying to shoehorn year-round businesses into these like recreational permits. And of course, the businesses have to operate year-round. And so it just, I think that we have some thinking about how to bring, perhaps we should, obviously it's bigger than this conversation here, but thinking about, are there specific spaces where we want those businesses to be? Because it seems like we know what we don't want, but we don't know what we do want, like where is an appropriate space to have, like, we want a vibrant, we want baymen, we want fishermen. So where is it appropriate for everybody, for them to be, and to have a year-round operation? So, and it, like I said, it just feels like we're kind of trying to squeeze them into this residential. And of course, we run up against, issues where they've got to run their business all year.
This also comes back to the town not owning a lot of waterfront properties, right? So we have one town dock at Commons Creek. We have town landings.
Right.
We have a few stake and pulleys, but we don't have like a active working waterfront area that we can rent to businesses. So that's something, if it comes on the market or we find an opportunity, that would be a worthy CPF purchase, or working waterfront revitalization purchase. So it's something to keep our eyes out for. But yeah, we do need to come up with a solution for the interim until we can find a spot like that.
So if you had that working waterfront initiative when you bought that property at Grace's Lane, that could have been bought with that program.
Possibly, but unfortunately.
So you have a document that is an agreement with the county that is, you can modify. You have I don't know what it's called, but an agreement with the county about how that property is used.
It would have to go back to CPF because it was purchased through their legislation. And so whatever obligations they are, whatever code they have to follow, we have to make sure that it met
We
that.
have to look at the stewardship plan for that property.
Right, yeah, there's a stewardship thing, and that stewardship can be modified. And I know the county would go along with it if the town, they would take the town's recommendation.
So why don't we kick it to, well, I have one more question first before kicking.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the town engineer about the DEC notice? And I know that there's restoration efforts that need to take place, but it's my understanding, but don't quote me on it, that you will not be precluded from being able to use your stake and pulley. You might just have to modify slightly. So have you had a conversation with him about what it will look like at the other end once we get past the restoration?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to him, but we don't know about, I think the rule is that you can't disturb the grass. And that, and you're giving a letter, and what I heard was that they're sending out a letter to everybody who's got a pulley line that you can't disturb the grass. You can use it, but you can't disturb the grass. So for me, because first of all, where my pulley line is in like a low point of the road, and you get a lot of runoff from the road, and then that was eating out the road there. And I asked Ken Lewis to dump in some stones there, and he did, because the road was breaking and everything. So there's stone there. And then I was throwing out, dead oysters so that I wasn't stepping in the mud. And then there was an issue of, and then what happens there, because of the tide, you have grass that might be about, 15 feet deep, from where the intertidal market works, but the water and the tide drops out probably 60 feet there. It goes into the road at a super high tide, and it drops out like 40 feet beyond where the grass is and becomes mud when the tide's way out. So I can't say, well, I'm not going to be walking through the grass or over it at any particular time, and that's what kills it. So I don't think there's, I'll go back there and I'll keep doing it, but, I'm told that if I do it again, I'm in trouble.
Well, let's schedule something so we better understand all of the parameters surrounding the mixer, just so we can get that piece cleared up. So,
Right.
No,
that's fine too. That's, and I don't want to, so really any pulley line system, and then I look for alternative pulley line systems, where they're like very close to a town landing, but then there's parking issues. And then there's issues for me. How am I going to function, as a business? And that's why, why I like working out of Grace's Lane, because I'm not bothering anybody. And, it functions well for a bayman, particularly an oyster guy. And it's, generally open, not iced in. It did this winter, but moved a bit. So anyway, that'd be my preference. And like I said, to me, all days are equal on Shelter Island, okay? I don't think.
But the code was not written.
But I know the code doesn't like that.
Yeah.
But all days are equal.
If we can find a way to keep Grace's or Daniel Lord Road, I think that's probably the best solution, if we can find a way to make it work.
Yeah, let's set something up and then we'll revisit this in this application.
Yeah, but I would prefer you, now that you got me all thinking about it, I'd like to, I'm gonna keep pursuing, working down at Grace's Lane, just because it does make a lot of sense. I was folding over into the idea of, we gotta like retreat, summer people are here, retreat. We gotta do something for them, their kayaks, make it safe for kayaks everywhere. But, the rest of the year, What is it? And what is the usage down there? How busy does it get? I mean, it's, it doesn't get very much action in terms of, like I said, it doesn't get people they're not going to the Island Boatyard from there because it's across the creek. They're not going to shop at Bliss's, they're not, nobody's, there's no facility to launch a dinghy, so you're not using it as a mooring field access, because you don't have that dinghy dock. It just stays empty over the summer.
I will reach out to schedule something.
Thanks, Bert.
The next one is Kayak Shelter Island. Let's see if the applicant is on.
Hello?
There's it. I saw you at some point.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, everybody. How are we doing today?
Okay, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Right.
Adam from Kayak Shelter Island here. We have our application in. Nothing has really changed. Of course, Jay Damick started us off in '93. I took over in 2020. This will be our 33rd year in business. Primarily, we take care of the Cockleswater Marine Trail, kicking off from Burns Road. And yeah, that's the only location we
Showing
use.
up on Zoom.
We do our best to keep it very quiet down there. We do not encourage walk-up service. All our business we try to do by reservation, so we know who's coming. I try never to have more than 4 or 5 cars down there at one time, and I keep my people parked up the street so that access to the ramp is always available to locals.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions? I could go on and talk about my business for a long time if you let me.
No, I think that we've never really had complaints about the way you run things. I think you're fair to the neighborhood, and I don't think that the neighborhood's ever had an issue with the way you're running your business.
Well, we try to give priority to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of where I am. I'm in a residential place with those beautiful houses in Pandion filling up. I have new neighbors to impress, so I'm very, very focused on keeping it quiet down there.
Do you have any conditions or anything that had in previous years, or?
I thought I had printed Shelter and Kayak, and I'm not seeing it. Let me see if it's on.
I think we had just designated the space
Here
for
it
them
is.
to use,
Right.
yeah.
Yes,
And then, of
okay,
course,
yeah,
keep
so
your
the
trash like
things,
you.
yeah, so what we had done last year was the business located on Burns Road is outlined in the application, which let me just do a quick. Picture up. Slow here.
There it goes.
Okay, yeah. So here's the end of Burns Road. So it looks like you've got trailer and staging area down here, customer parking where the yellow X is, and a second trailer further up.
Yeah, that's if a busy day, if I need another trailer. I try to make sure there's only one trailer, but sometimes I just have to store it down at the end of the road for a couple minutes while I take care of customers.
Location, subject to PD and highway review, the business operation period between May 1st and November 30th. Hours cannot exceed 9 a.m. to sunset. I think that's what you had in the applications.
Absolutely.
No parking spot guaranteed in connection with the application, no coning off of a parking spot, daily disposal of trash, not in town receptacles, certificate of liability, which you have, remove all equipment daily. So those were the restrictions that we put in last year. Yep. So any questions from the board?
I don't have any concerns about this application. I think they're
Very straightforward.
Yeah, all right. Okay, then we can move on to the next one. Thank you.
Very good, guys. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all this season.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay. Right, sure. You're up next.
Yep.
Thanks for waiting.
State your name for the record.
Dave Whiskey from Right Shore. Same application. I think it's our 10th year with the application, our 17th year of business out here. So The one thing is, I don't know if I paid enough, because I know you raised the rates, I paid $350, I don't know if it's supposed to be the 500, because we are 20 by 20. So,
I was gonna say Shelby, you'll follow up on that.
yeah, so just let me know,
Yes.
you weren't here and I
Yeah,
paid the other guy, so.
And so you're located down at the end of Crescent Beach. Actually, I'm gonna take over the share again, Federico, because mine's in color and I think that makes it look a little bit easier to, So you come down Shore Road at the very end and you set up usually, I think, chair and umbrella.
10 by 10 tent and a chair, and yeah, then we have a beach attendant, and then the boats come in, and the beach attendant helps with the personnel.
And then this area off to the east, I guess, is where your business activities take place.
The walkway, is that attached to the boat? If you scroll down, Amber?
Mhm. Got my cursor. There it is.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Is the red one attached, it's part of the boat, or is that what you leave on shore and then?
We leave that on shore.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And we're phasing that out, because the boat to the left,
Yep.
we launched last year. It's a 18-passenger Coast Guard inspected landing craft. And we have another one coming next week, so we'll be running two of the COI and Coast Guard boats. So safety-wise and efficiency, it's been a game changer for us.
As I say, it seems like a much safer setup.
Extremely.
Yeah.
It just took us a long time to get there, because it's not a,
It's not a cheap boat.
It's a very nice looking boat.
It is.
yes.
Yeah.
So we actually, the sister ship's coming next week. I gotta get rigged and ready for the Coast Guard inspections.
So that's good. Yeah, and last year, the restrictions that we put in is the proposed 10 by 10 foot tent shall be located on the east end of Crescent Beach, removed at the end of each day. Subject to review by PD and highway, the location, the area of business beach setup cannot be larger than 20 foot by 20 foot, and the requested tent can't be larger than 10 foot by 10 foot. You will operate between, like, I have to look at the application. Last year was May 17th to September 15th. Disposal of trash, taken to receptacles, not town receptacles, certificate of liability insurance you've got. Yeah, so that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll keep those same ones unless
All
the
right.
board has
Thank you.
anything else.
No,
Thank you.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Bone Spa.
I don't know if they're on, they didn't confirm.
Oh, I thought I saw.
yeah, I saw someone.
Hello,
Is
hello
that-
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi. This is Bone Spa. This is Alex and Roy. I want to thank everybody for allowing us to provide this application. This is our official 21st year. We've been on the island for 22 years though, because of COVID. And I just wanted to say that everything is the same. We look to be accommodating to the beach and anybody that is coming to the island. And we just look forward to another year. Every year is different. And we just look forward to being there again. Hello?
It's the same
Yeah,
setup.
yeah, we're here. We're just, yeah,
We're just looking.
we're looking at pictures and things.
The pause.
Yes, yes. This is Bone Spa.
Bone Spa. There you go.
The image there.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, location is the two tents down in the corner. Yeah, I see you've got like the truck there, but you get a beach sticker for that.
No, there's no van. That's no picture.
That's an
Oh,
old
okay.
picture, okay, yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna
okay.
say, we don't
gonna say,
typically
I was gonna
designate
say,
a
yeah,
parking
last
spot.
year's, I'm looking, I'm like, no, you don't get a parking space. Yeah. So the things that we had, I know one of the issues that we've had in the past is you've got the space, the area of the business no larger than 400 square feet. And I think in the past, I don't know if it was last year or earlier years, just keeping your storage like within the tents. So that, because you generally have two 10 by 10 foot tents, and so the storage locker has to be within that space.
Okay.
But yeah, the other things that we had were, location of business subject to PD and highway review, the hours of operation, the dates of operation, area of business no larger than 400 square feet, no more than two 10 by 10 tents, the storage locker being within the 400 square feet, no parking spot guaranteed, no coning off of a parking spot. Again, with the trash, take it in, take it with, not in town receptacles. Certificate of liability insurance. And then that you possess all necessary federal, state, and county licenses, because the type of business that you are. So does the town board have anything else?
No, I think that they've been great year to year. We haven't really had any issues.
Don't have any issues.
All right, thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Be well.
Thanks, you too. And next up, we have Venture Out. Let me drop the share. And I know at one point, Matt Stromberg was on. Did we lose him? I know, there he is.
Everyone hear
Venture
me?
Out. Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, yep, I'm here. I don't know, someone disabled my video, so we can just do audio. Does that sound all right?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, you should be able to turn your video back
No,
on.
it's just disabled by host, so it's okay if, I'm okay with. There we go.
There you are. Hi. Oh, hello.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Okay. All right. So any change, you've been here for many years.
No real change. The biggest change in, our in many years was last year. So, if our packet's the same, everything's the same. It's our 16th year. We're very happy to be back. Last year were the most drastic changes we've done in a long time. It's reflected in our packet. You can see the site map and parking map. It's just been altered to show how we changed the layout of the equipment. And how we move it in and out of the water going forward. And that's really the only change to our packet. Otherwise, business is conducted as usual. We launch from town landings, private residences. We rent water sports equipment to all houses on Shelter Island. And that's about it.
In looking at last year's, we had modified it in July, that you'd be contained in a 13.3 foot by 30 foot rectangle, which allowed you to have a longer space up against the railing.
And I'd like to say why that is. I mean, all of our businesses that are on, the agenda today, the three of us that you've just talked about, have been around for a very long time. We're all different businesses. We don't all fit in the same box. When we went from an agreement to an application, I guess sometime back in like 2021, we all of a sudden had to fit into this 20 by 20 space. Well, all of us can't realistically do that. And I had to do that last year. So that's why it has to be, for me, 13 by 30, which is still somewhat unrealistic, but we did it. And that's why that is. And we have no more shore access equipment available. And we just use a tiny coned off area to run our equipment back and forth to the water.
No, and we appreciate that. So, yeah, last year, so we had that 13.3 times 30 rectangle, representing 400 square feet. The 30-foot marking has been established along the railing to clearly assist in designating the area. So you'll work again with PD and Highway on that.
We mark it out. We're pretty, we mark it out ourselves with cones as well. Like we really respect that space. So we make sure it's marked out as well. And then the runway is marked out daily as well.
Yeah. So we'll put in the, time frame of operations, from, May to October, hours of operation. The requested tent can't be larger than 10 by 10 feet. The proposed storage locker shall be located within the 13 by 30 foot, 400 square foot area. There'll be no parking spot guarantee, no coning off of, oh no, we did say the licensee can briefly cone off a spot to safely load and unload equipment. And the licensee is responsible for daily disposal of trash, not in-town receptacles, and certificate of insurance. So.
But not coning off to save a spot.
No.
No, we don't save spots. We just, we cone around the rear end of our truck and around the side of it to, just cars fly down that road. I mean, there's no, it's it just happens. And we cone around the backside of our vehicle, and whether we're on West Neck also, we cone around the side of our vehicle, or wherever we are. We always, it's like if you see a Verizon truck or you see a LIPA truck or something, we always cone around the back or side of our vehicle. We don't save spots. No, it's not what we do.
All right.
You don't leave like cones in the parking spot after you leave for the day, saving it for the next morning.
Not for the next morning, no, nothing like that.
Okay. All right, so we can proceed with that one.
Can I say one more thing? Sure. I would just like to make sure that the space I'm allotted is in my resolutions. That way it's just there, it's in writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like it was in the July one last year.
Okay.
And then we're changing it a little bit this year so that the town and you will sign off on it. So you'll get a chance to look at it.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I also changed my opening and closing date a little bit, which isn't really a big deal, I don't think, because I have a 12-month insurance policy.
Yeah.
But I stayed on the island a little bit longer with my equipment available this year, and my phone didn't stop ringing. So I just wanted to note I changed my date to November 30th instead of October something. It says it on there.
Okay.
All right.
That's all.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yes,
Other than
thank
that. So there's people on the island then that are doing stuff. That's all that points out. So people are here and they're doing activities up until, if the weather's nice, they're renting kayaks and doing stuff all the way up until November.
Yeah, no, that's good. We welcome the shelter season.
River Sultan, but
Yes.
I like to hear it.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And last but not least is Kara Moorcraft Pilates. And I see Kara is on.
I can't share my video, but I'm happy to just do audio if that's what you prefer.
I can ask you to start the video. There you go.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
And so you
Hi there.
are.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so you're new to this process, but you're not the first sort of type of business. But if you want to explain, what you're proposing this year, that would be good.
Sure. Yeah, I'm applying for a permit to teach a beach Pilates class at Wade's Beach. It'd be a small class. I would do online reservations and cap it at 12 people. Let's see. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm thinking of doing it for the mostly for July and August every week, but I put the start date a little bit earlier just to give me some time to kind of start it up.
Okay. And I'm going to do a share screen here just to show the location.
And the classes are going to be is it Saturdays and Wednesdays at 7 a.m.?
Yeah, I'm gonna do two 45-minute classes. So one would be at 7 and then one would start at 8.
Okay. Yeah, I was like 7 to 9, but 45 minutes, that doesn't match, right? So that
Two
makes more sense.
classes.
Okay.
2 classes. And then I put on there just like a space for what the yoga mats would be, because everyone would bring their own mats. But if there's any issues with where specifically on the beach I should go, I'm happy to move. Obviously, I just kind of chose that location.
Yeah, and since we had something similar last year,
Okay.
the restrictions that we put there was just where the location would be, coordinating with police department and highway department.
Okay.
Your hours of operation, the area can't be bigger than 20 feet by 20 feet. Again, no parking spot guaranteed, no coning off the parking spots. Any trash brought in goes back out, not in town receptacles, and certificate of liability insurance. And then since your fee structure is based upon that you're going to be there 2 days a week, so if there were to be any change to that, you would have to reapply, apply for modification.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
The only thing would just be to be aware of what days and times highway rakes the beach. So
Yes,
just
okay.
kind of coordinate with them so that they're not raking through your Pilates class. That could be disruptive.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Thank you for
Early. They usually
Okay.
do it early, but just, just
FYI.
We'll have them kind of
I
coordinate.
was going to say, should I coordinate? Is there someone? Sorry, of course, my dog is barking in the background. Is there someone in specific that I should coordinate that with?
Ken Lewis, highway superintendent. And he was
Thank
on-
you.
Yeah, he was on earlier, but yes, if you reach out to his office. Yeah, because your timing from 7 to 9, I feel like they do run at like 7:30.
Right, that's.
But I don't.
But which days?
But I don't know if they're doing it every day.
I
depends
think
on the
Mondays,
season.
like definitely Mondays because it's after the weekend, and
Yeah.
then again, it might be Thursday or Friday. But so I think you're good with your Wednesday, Sunday, or Saturday, but
Double
best,
check.
best to
Awesome.
check.
I can check, and then obviously, since I'm just starting up, I'm flexible about stuff. I can always move things around, so I will definitely check with him and then can figure out the best schedule.
Yes, and he would also be able to weigh in on your location.
Great, thank you so much.
That side of the beach is nice and flat, so.
Yes.
It's a
That's
good
what I
spot.
was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Nope. No. Good.
Nope.
All right, we are at 11:37, so we're running behind. So the rest of our agenda, investment policy, fiscal policy, irrigation code, permits and permit fees, we'll have to wait until next week. Because we've got our applicant here and one of the interviewers on Zoom. So I would like to, this is good. Entertain a motion to go into executive session for interviews and contract discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.